Blessed love and peace. We are in the midst of late summer storms, heavy winds amidst the big lakes, locks and lakes, and all that. A few joints to share, work to do, daylight still had, thus, recording made. Um, so a few joints. The first joint is amends, not apology, but amends. In recent months, I lay some heavy criticism concerning a performance, a live performance of a new classic, neoclassic jazz, it's like kind of a standard jazz um, recording or jazz track called Mo Better Blues. And I see periodically, because of suggestions on YouTube, social media, whatever, I see periodic new, or at least new to me, recordings or renderings of that particular track from different musicians, literally from around the world: Japan, Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, and additionally. So on one occasion I see a recording, and when looking at it, it was like, that's like what we refer to as 180-degree multiculturalism, meaning like it looks like it, but it's not it, and it's actually like that. Not the antithesis per se, but it's a very, well, dangerous is a strong word, but it's applicable in many ways. It's a very very important to recognize that it's not it. So and that's what precipitates me describing that, because it's a beneficial illustration of, and it's a tangible illustration of how that same methodology of putting a beige androgynous face on different things is an imperialistic methodology of feigned multiculturalism, and in pushing another other impositions and wrongfulness. So, anyways, that this jazz recording is an example of that, because it looks the part, but at the same time, the actuality is different. So, anyways, I've posted a few times, not too much, but it's enough for it's repeated maybe 2 or 3 times actually in the past maybe 6 months. I've made references to it because there's a guilt thing, because in me being critical, there's like, wait, why you so like judgmental, this, that, and the other? Why are you hating this, that, and the other? And it's not a matter of hating the brethren that are in that do the performance. Love and peace to the brethren who perform that. Love and peace and support to the talented brethren who play each instrument with much greater skill than I do. It's a matter of recognizing the harms that are being done and calling people's attention to that, and how that particular those harms exhibited very extremely subtle and nuanced, but yet tangibly exhibited in that performance, are applicable to so many different things in academia, in work, in public policy, even in just basic jargon and trending things and everything else. So that's why I particularly emphasize that. Now, I recognize that I may be utilizing it to prove a point, quote unquote, prove a point, or to show a point about the conditions of society. But at the same time, it's at the cost of, like, the brethren, like, they were performing it. It's like they heart and soul, and that's another track that we had situations with, but that's another story. Like the kinfolk, like it may very well be that like they invest their all they have in that performance, and like they put it on the line and this and the other. And so if we're using them as to step on them or whatever as a way of showing what it's not or whatever, so whenever showing something, whenever critiquing something, it is the wise person, the honest person, communicates support and truth in what the people are doing. And so in my critiques, this past month, I am comparatively and atypically heavy. I won't say heavy-headed, it could be, but imbalanced, I'll say, in terms of the critique, some may refer to as negativity, without sharing positivity. So, and that's actually another reason why there's been the repetition, because there's certain things I critique, like very strong and outright, and there it is, plain and simple. and don't think much of it afterwards. This continues on because it's been like, wait, don't you think you're a little hard? Don't you think you're a little harsh on these kinfolk? And so, again, like after like a few weeks or so after first posting something, and this is all on IG, maybe all of 3 or 4 people officially see it or whatever, but at the same time, it's in the ether. So, what Sister Miranda, mixed Sister Miranda refers to as these internet streets. So, anyways, that it's here. So I do that. I refer to it again, and then that was probably a few months ago. Then again, it lingers, and it's like, yo, don't you think you're a little bit harsh? Maybe you should like look at it again. After looking at it once, you don't need to look at it again, because again, whilst there's concern about the kinfolk, and it's not just all brethren. It's androgynous, so it looks like there's a sister, but again, that's part of the challenge as well, because that's part of the intentionality. But the kinfolk who are in that performance, yes, there's the relevance of the well-being of the kinfolk on that performance and sharing something positive. That's actually what precipitates what I'm sharing at this moment. However, I have to explain also what delays this balance of response, because so often in the experience of downpression, of imperialism and otherwise, there's the nice cop response after atrocities are done, after like manipulation is done, after people are raped and pillaged and molested. Then the nice cop comes around and says, well, don't you think you're a little bit hard on those molesters, because they're going through their own thing too, so don't you think we should have compassion? And it's that type of trope. Now that's a very severe comparison, but that's what's going on. It's cultural manipulation, it's cultural molestation, it's cultural prostitution, and otherwise, other words, and further. So, and in that process, yes, there's the kinfolk who are immediately involved, but at the same time, there are our ancestors who are being disrespected when we're talking about our culture and representation. And we're talking about a history of this, particularly in music and arts, which is one of the reasons why black folk are often very infuriated with mixed folk, for being the front people of like dark-skinned black folk, dark-skinned African folk, kinfolk, working and toiling, creating something from sufferation, all creativity, all beauty, all expression that is championed, all charisma comes from sufferation. That's why celebrities, when they make it big, they struggle to find genuine inspiration, because they're not suffering like they used to be when they was living in the hood and otherwise. So anyways, point here is that through generations, hundreds of years, dark-skinned kinfolk have been doing things and creating and going through the toil that provides this. And then another person's face on it is put on it, whether it's a light-skinned person's face or whether it's a European person's face or otherwise. And then that's part of the process of co-option, of stealing, and additionally rewriting history, suing post facto for copyrights and intellectual property entitlements, claiming, oh, I did that, and like, nah. So that's part of what's going on in terms of the mixed black situation. And particularly how light-skinned kinfolk are utilized as fronts and as the favorable option and the further palatable and relatable option towards Afrocentric culture, black culture particularly. So anyways, that's the concern, because it's not just the people who are involved at the moment. It's not just society in general who's vaguely maligned by the 180-degree multiculturalism. It's the history, and it's the track record. The word system is played out at this point, but it's the multi-generational imperialistic methodology of basically genocide, cultural genocide, and actual physical genocide as well, because cultural genocide is a methodology for precipitating actual genocide, and so that's what's being addressed here. That's what's happening here, and that's what's being addressed here, and that's what precipitates me responding to it in a rather direct way. Now, that being said, very often, like the people, the actors in these sequences are not like the bigwigs. They're the kinfolk who are like on the margins. They're kinfolk who are struggling too in different ways and in the same way, and love the culture and want to do that, and they get an opportunity to do something. And it's very difficult to say no, because they got to put food on the table. They got to feed their children, and additionally, and so they're going through their own troubles, and they might know what's going on. They might not know what's going on. They may not care what's going on. So it's difficult to tell, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it's comparatively indifferent. It's comparatively inconsequential, because it's contributing to the downpression over generations. So for those who have the inclination, there is the responsibility of responding. So that's what is being done in this situation. Now, that being said, again, it's not just a matter of being rebellious and revolutionary and militant or whatever else. It's a matter of being honest and compassionate, and in that honesty, recognize the suffering within the kinfolk who are in those margins, who are put in that position of being the front people, and additionally, and understanding the suffering of the kinfolk, and providing kinfolk with an opportunity or options for doing better, acknowledging the truth and the validity within the kinfolk, and being supportive of that. That's across the board, regardless of who we're talking about. So anyways, I have yet to do that. Now, in recent occasion, today, when I go on my weekly joint online, I go onto the kinfolk. To be honest, didn't even look too tough into the kinfolk's background about who the kinfolk are, and additionally, because it's just like I can tell, like already just from what is observed, there's a very strong awareness of like what's around that, and what like that, where that person is in this life, generally speaking. Don't even know actually, to be honest, where that person is literally on this world. Could be from a lot of different places from looking just at that one recording. However, just like the background or whatever, there's anticipation. And again, like we've given so much through the years, at least when I say me, I'm talking about myself particularly, but there's just so much benefit of the doubt, and there's so much compassion, there's so much empathy. At some point there'd be like, no, we don't have the availability to like extend further empathy in that respect. And so that's the situation for a number of months until today. And then I go to the YouTube and I check out the videos, and I'm going to fast forward like the response. The short of it is this: still, like I was looking for like another recording that would be available to just show like a positive of, like, if I say like this is when looking at that Mo Bitter Blues recording, this ain't it. To find another recording of the same kinfolk, the brother's name is Moshe. It's Moshe, but it depends what language you're talking about. I think it's Brazil, Portuguese. So I have yet to hear specifically, particularly how perhaps the Sephardim in the Guarani land pronounce Moshe. However, Moises is the way it's articulated or spelled in the Romanized version of it, pronounced in the English way. So Moises Alves, I think, is his surname. So, and even then, I'm being presumptuous about Brazil. It might be Mexico, it might be someplace else. But looking at a number of the videos, again, looked for something that would be just like an obvious, like, here's a counter thing, here's the thing where he's doing it, and we can promote this one. Because I've shared, it's not just a race thing, because I've shared, again, recordings from Czechoslovakia, from the Czech Republic, all quote unquote lily white kinfolk playing Mo Bitter Blues, and that's it. Now, there are a lot of black folk who might like challenge me on that, and we can reason about that. But I stand by that one too. And I see a Japanese kinfolk who I call Frizzy Gillespie. That's it. They do it. So straight up Japanese. Might not even speak English. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're doing it. And so it's not a matter of like being racist against light skin or whatever else. It's a matter about acknowledging what is going on in terms of imperialism and 180-degree multiculturalism, and the imposition of beige androgyny as a trope. And I point out the details of it. I point out the specific concerns. I'm not going to do it all here because I've already done it, at least in writing. So when I go to the Brethren's website, trying to find something positive and to respond to that, to be honest, didn't see it. I saw a lot of positive things, actually very positive and impressive things. Spiritual, he seems to be a very religious brethren. Christian, there's evidence of Judaism as well. And so, hallelujah, Baruch Hashem, Hamdulillah, Jai Om, beautiful. And so he's doing things that are positive, that are meaningful, that are of depth and purpose and value. So Peace be with him, and Yasher Koah. That being said, did not see something that would be properly counterbalancing to the concerns that we saw with the 180 degree, because that's also part of how 180 degree multiculturalism works. It works through conventional institutions and the buy-ins, and additionally that's part of the access to audience and having pretenses of credibility and otherwise. So that's not to dismiss the spiritual path, and additionally we respect that, we support it, and love and peace to the brethren. But again, actually looking at all the videos, had difficulty just by looking at the title and watching some of the someone's briefly. Again, it just fell into that apparent trope of assimilation and being like the further melanated face of a culture, particularly as a way of showing it to a particular constituency and saying, hey, here it is. And meanwhile, wear your mask, get inoculated, and da-da-da-da-da. We're not saying that, but that's the trope that was articulated within that particular recording of Mo Better Blues. And all the different, I'm just gonna leave it at that. So anyways, we didn't see something, I didn't see a recording that we could just post again and say, okay, the brethren wasn't doing it in that one, but he's doing it in this one, or the brethren, and it's not just him. I say him because he looks like the front man, and he looks like the one who's put in front. And so it's the entire, and it's actually not any concern about what he does. It's the concern is about the conditions around him, and the conditions around the kinfolk on the stage that are doing that. That's where the concerns are. So it's not even about him specifically. It's not even about the kinfolk on the stage specifically. It's about the conditions. And so we looked for that recording, didn't see it, and that actually even further kind of like doubled down, like, yeah, it's still not it, and we've tried. So I post that today. Now, all that being said, the reason why what I'm sharing right now is, like, again, not making an apology, but making amends, because in that spot, and I posted this statement to the brethren, and the intention is to post this upload if I can actually get this finished, and so he can have a link to this as well. It's not a matter of hiding. It's not a matter of shade behind the back or whatever else. It's not a matter of shots fired. It's just a matter of communication of actualities at this moment. So after watching the whole thing, posting it up again today, and then showing other examples of it, that being it, of Mo Better Blues and otherwise, it's still like, yo, but Peter, in your statement you said there's truth within everybody. So, and if you want to be compassionate and honest, you share all these negative things about him, and additionally, and I keep saying him, but again, he's the one who posted it, and he looks like he's the front man of that. So him and his crew. What about saying something positive? And regardless of the whole co-opting culture, nice cop scenario, be on that spiritual path and say something positive. Don't just be so negative. And because you don't know what that kinfolk is going through at this moment, and what my words effect might have on kinfolk. So be mindful. Be honest, be compassionate, be modest. So, all that being said, without even looking at the videos again, without listening to anything else, what I will share in that truth that exists within the brethren is this: the fact that I am so negative. How about that? And this is not going to be like a false thing. We're actually good. The point is, or not. It's not the point yet. But the reason why I say what precipitates me being in comparative imbalance shows a formidable truth within the brethren, a genuine, honest truth to put me off balance, to be so negative. So I have to check myself about that. And it's because he looks the part, or no, not because he looks the part, because he is the part. He's coming from a mixed heritage experience. He plays the trumpet. He's nice with it. He knows Mo Better Blues, and he's nice with that too. And if you need me to explain how he's nice with that, but at the same time it's not it, that's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother topic. He's nice. He's got skills. He knows how to play, and he knows how to do it. And looking at the videos that he has playing spiritual music, religious devotional music, he's doing it. So that's beautiful. Again, I'm not flippant when I say that. Baruch Hashem, that he is doing that service, because there are people in his constituency who need it. And so there's genuine support for him doing that, and recognition, and that says a lot about himself, his walk, and additionally, and it's not easy for him. It's understood. It's seen. He has to trod on a daily basis to be positive, and to share that light that he has with others. So that's recognized, and there's support for that. There's that, and again, the fact that for me to respond in such a negative way shows how much he is doing it, because I can't do that. I'm precluded. We have to be mindful about how we limit ourselves. At this moment, I am without the skills of doing what he does, and so there's a recognition of his increased skill set. Beyond that, it's a matter of anytime we're put off balance because there's an insecurity within ourselves. And part of the insecurity that I experience in viewing that and being frustrated with that particularly is how easy it is to perceive that as the healthy, organic, kind of natural and genuine multiculturalism that promotes the heritage, the ancestry, and the beings of people from different cultures, and because it does, but it doesn't, and it triggers that reactionaryism, and so for it to do that means that it's doing something, because, well, I'm gonna slow up. It's getting darker now. The winds continue, and my hand is getting numb because the electricity and the radiation coming from these devices tends to short circuit the extremities. So I'm being mindful of that, and it's a signal of, like, I don't need to be recording this for 5 hours. I won't be able to because the storage on the hard drive is modest. Anyways, so truth in the brethren. He has skills. He has knowledge. He's trotting in his spiritual path, so there's respect for that. He has formidable skills to present that performance in such a way that conjures certain insecurities within myself to be so frustrated, and not just to let it go. To be a negative critic, or to provide a negative critique, or it's not a negative critique, but a challenging critique without being properly or summarily balanced with that. So anyways, and that's kudos to him, because that signifies a certain formidability within himself about what he's doing, a formidability of genuineness that is lacking within myself, in terms of being able to provide something as a counter example to what he's sharing. And it's not antagonistic. Ain't no enemies, ain't no hate. It's all constructive, and that's the other thing too. But it can be difficult to do that in the very anonymous type of culture and buffers of the internet. So anyways, that's what this is. We done spent 25 minutes. That's some of the positive. That's some of the truth that exists within the brethren that I communicate, that I respect, and that I honor, and that I encourage. That was one performance of one track. It triggers something with here because it's something that's very meaningful on this side. And so when we see it utilized in a way that is seen as less than authentic, or less than genuine, or that is harmful, say just straight up is harmful, then that's the response. But there's support for what the other works that the brethren is doing. So peace and blessings be with him. Peace and blessings of the Most High Elohim be with brethren Moses. Peace and blessings of the Most High Elohim be with brother Moishes Alves and all his kinfolk and all his crew. So that's that. And I don't mean to sound dismissive. I'm being matter of fact at this moment and candid. So on to the second topic. Kahadi. How about an interim somewhat to like clear the air. Now I am stretching my hand, because that does cause stiff handedness. All right, here's an interim anecdote or whatever thought for consideration. The devil tempts man away from the Garden of Africa. The devil tempts man into the Garden of Africa. Technology, weapons, and imperialism. Prowess, charisma, and superiority. Indulgence of self. That's that. Now, going on to the next topic, we're going into the whole returning into the topic of pornography. So another way of describing it, actually, it's a question. It's a discussion question. Which is further harmful? Watching one man, or actually watching two men, compete in a UFC fighting match, Ultimate Fighting Championship fighting match, wherein one brethren breaks the nose of the other brethren, and the other brethren knocks the first brethren, out unconscious. That's scenario one. And the second scenario is watching a naked woman, 18-year-old woman, masturbate in her own room, record it, and then upload that. Which is further harmful to watch? Two men fighting where one breaks one's nose and the other one knocks him unconscious, or watching a naked 18-year-old woman in her own bedroom masturbating naked? How many times am I going to say that? Twice. Putting things in perspective. It's not excusing it. Both is harmful. Both is very harmful. The question is recognizing which one is further. It's not a matter of which one is further harmful, but just recognizing the severe harmfulness and what is acceptable harmfulness and what is not acceptable harmfulness. What is the extent of harm that is caused within both scenarios and further scenarios, and recognizing how the mainstream acceptance and further affect conditions, perceptions, and relations accordingly. So that's one joint. A further joint on this same topic of putting context and perspective within the experience of pornography. I described before the harms being caused by being in public and being exposed to adverse things. Now, again, I talked about women being immodest in dress, but it's also men being vulgar and violent and loud, and additionally, it's life in the city. So there are a lot of things that can be faulted. It's not a matter of finding fault, but there are a lot of harms that are being caused just in everyday life, just by doing everyday things, going to the store for food, going to the library for Wi-Fi, and additionally, and it's a matter of recognizing the effects that we have on people. And when we become further mindful, further powerful, further authoritative, recognizing that even just little things that we do, like thought, like staying up late, affects people's well-being. Because when we get in people's heads, the things we do have effects beyond our immediate recognition and that are immediately evidenceable. So anyways, concerning the experience of being exposed to sexual prowess of women, and that adversely affecting men in a culture of immodesty, that doesn't excuse anything. It doesn't excuse viewing pornography or anything else like that. It's a matter of understanding, so that kinfolk can work for better and healthier conditions. This is another way of explaining it or describing it. If we look like at a scale of pornography from 0 or from 1 to 10, 1 being like monk style, like 0 would be like an angel floating and hardly touching anything, like just like floating and living from light and air. So that's level 1, and then level 2 is like the worst types of depravity, violence, morbidity, all the just nasty stuff. 10 is like nasty. So in that spectrum, in that scale, there's a consideration of kinfolk, a brethren, living at level, let's say 3, maybe being chaste, maybe being celibate, but at the same time still having thoughts, or just living at 3 without any sexual activity. All around him is level 5. Maybe level 4.5, but thereabouts. It's beyond what he's doing, and it's all around. It's influential. It's in the face. It pops up. It's unannounced and unsolicited and everywhere. 4.5, 4.5, and for him, 4.5 is falling off a cliff. Maybe a shallow cliff, but it's falling off a cliff. 4.5, but it's all around. And the purpose of 4.5 is actually to influence people to fall even further to 7 or 8. Actual fornication, and additionally, even prostitution, just like way lower. So the 4.5 is all up in people's faces as actually a way to push people further towards 7 and 8. That's very much the intention of the 4.5s, the culture, the pervasiveness of the 4.5, and the susceptibility of the person at level 3 of falling to 7 or 8 with the influence of the 4.5. Because 4.5 can very quickly turn into 7 and 8. So as a way of mitigating that, the 3 jumps to 5. 5 being the pornography. It's not an excuse, it's harmful. It causes harm to all involved. But amidst the conditions, that's what is observed, or that's like the best solution kinfolk can discern amidst the conditions. So anyways, that's a way of describing it. It doesn't excuse it, not trying to excuse it, trying to explain and invite reasoning, respectful reasoning for better solutions. Because in the endeavor of procreation, again, this is the crux of life in terms of the differentiation between spiritual paths. That ultimately, I think, to be honest, in this life is without any consensus resolution. Either be a monk and celibate 100%, or be married, be committed to a woman, a man and a woman being committed with each other and having a child, one or the other. But there's an absence of a consensus. There's benefits with both, and there's significant susceptibilities and challenges with both as well. However, the actuality and the nature of it is that in that endeavor of procreation, for a man searching for a woman, or for a woman searching for a man, it challenges that notion of becoming, of that dependent origination that the Buddha shares, of the things of this world resulting from our own actions. There's truth within that, and it's a constant truth. But in terms of a man searching to be in one flesh with a woman, at that point, it's not all on him at that point, because he is venturing outside of himself to be in union with another woman. And so the things that he does to be in union with the other woman are also attributable to the collective of who that woman is. And so another way of putting it is that the I becomes we. And so it's less of a matter of I am the cause of this. It is further a matter of we are the cause of this. And that we is the man and the woman, and directly, particularly when there is that consummation. However, in that process, the we is everyone around the man, his family, friends, society, and additionally, and everyone around the woman. So we are the cause of that. And so as we all each are looking for our own experience of relationship and reconciliation in this life, we're also responsible for the relationship experience of every other being in this life as well. And so that's part of the mindfulness. That is much of what I share at this moment. Within our mixed experience, we focus at this point on self, relations, and homeland. Self, particularly through world livity seva. Relations, particularly through clan organization. And homeland, particularly through Kutulhounds, cultural havens, cultural villages, residence, school, sovereignty being. Also on the natural selection front, the natural selection season in the United States, the natural selections approaching. Here's a political solution. Druze are the kinfolk I was thinking of before in Eretz Israel, Palestine. Druze. Sharing the decision, sharing the land, providing the land to the stewardship of the Druze kinfolk. Wind. Meanwhile, here's 350 million people. That's a lot. It's actually too much to reasonably endeavor to genuinely manage and administrate. Thus spawns the logical solution of division, separation, regions, autonomy. How to do that? 50 states, okay, but that's like arbitrary lines, and additionally, and it's anytime there's that type of conversation, there's always contention. Just gerrymandering itself, all the lines within those lines, is a very tedious thing. So how does one draw the lines? Here's one methodology. Natural. It's always a matter of nature. It's always a matter of nature, yes. Just because something is natural doesn't necessarily mean it's applicable in a civilizational context. And when I say everything is nature, it's a matter of like going into the absolute ultimate nature that exists beyond the elements itself. But that's a further conversation. But the point is that it's very beneficial to return to nature for solutions in many ways, particularly in the convoluted methodologies of civilization and imperialism. There's a legitimacy of nature that resonates with all people, that heals within all people. That helps return and root all people. So here's a methodology, a natural methodology for drawing lines. First of all, 10, the number 10. That's simple. It's universal amidst the humanoid experience on Earth. 10, yes. 10 regions around the continent. And this is particularly the landmass of the northwest quadrant, the quadrosphere. Predominantly Mexico, United States, and Canada of Turtle Island. Those provinces referred to on Turtle Island. 10 regions. Now, how to identify on now? We're talking about Canada and Mexico now. Here's the consideration, because that's part of the nature. 10 regions. Identifying 10 of the largest rivers that flow on this landmass and it's, I guess, literally a landmass at this point, because Panama Canal, in the land of the Mayan and the Arawak and Carib. But this hemisphere, this quadrosphere, the 10 largest rivers, and then simply draw the lines between those rivers that naturally flows, the trough or the peaks in between those rivers, where the land naturally breaks towards one river or towards the other river. Those 10 regions being the distinct entities of political organizing, lawmaking, and otherwise. Now, there's all other protocols about not native sovereignty and sanctioning of things, but that's basically just of it. We're going to keep it at that. And again, we're going to give all thanks and praise to the Most High Elohim, and blessed love and peace of Rastafari.